This is a demo video on how we're teaching students to solve comparison story problems in third grade. A comparison story problem is a problem that compares two or more quantities using the words more or less or words that mean the same thing. Many times students will see the word more and add automatically, or see the word less and subtract automatically. In fact, these words could mean either or. The first thing that we ask students to do is to disregard the quantities in the story problems for a second. This lets them consider the information and reason about it without feeling the need to make a calculation. Let's read the story problem without the numbers. Lily and Gage mowed lawns all summer. Lily mowed some amount of lawns, and Gage mowed a different amount of lawns. How many more did Lily mow? When we think about the information in the story problem, the facts that we know are that Lily and Gage both mowed lawns, and Lily mowed more than Gage. So we're going to write this using a comparison statement. We know that Lily mowed more than Gage, and so we also know that Gage mowed less than Lily. Now it's time to think about what information we have and what information we still need to find out. We know that we're going to have quantities for Lily and Gage, so we're going to leave those parts open. What we don't know here is how much the change is. How many more did Lily mow? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a question mark right above that greater than and less than sign. That shows me that the information that is not given is the difference between them. Now I'll uncover the quantities, and we can go ahead and fill in the values for Lily and Gage. We know that Lily mowed 73 and Gage mowed 47. Now that we have all this written out, we're ready to solve. We know that 73 is some amount more than 47. So 73 minus the something would get us 47. Now students have been working on fact families a lot in second and in third grade, and so at this point they should know that they can turn around the 47 in the box to solve the problem. If you look at the opposite comparison statement, students know that 47 is some amount less than 73. So if we add that some amount on, we would get to 73. This leads students to two different ways to solve this problem. They could choose to subtract or to add up on a number line. The next type of problem we'll look at is one where the change is known, but one of the quantities is unknown. And we're going to go ahead and cover up the information at first, just like last time. That way students don't feel pressured to carry out an operation right at the beginning. Let's look at this story problem. Mr. DuBois spent some amount of minutes correcting homework last weekend. He spent some amount more minutes correcting than Miss Bartlett did. How many minutes did Miss Bartlett correct for? It's now time to make that comparison statement. In the story problem, it says Mr. DuBois spent more minutes correcting than Miss Bartlett. So we're going to say Mr. DuBois is worth more than Miss Bartlett, and Miss Bartlett is worth less than Mr. DuBois. Now let's think about what we have information for. We've been given a quantity for how many minutes Mr. DuBois corrected for, and we're going to know the change. What we don't know is how long Miss Bartlett corrected, so we're going to go ahead and put a question mark above Miss Bartlett. Now we can uncover the figures in the story problem. And we're going to go ahead and put those into our comparison statement. We know that Mr. DuBois spent 134 minutes correcting. And we know that 134 is going to be 47 more than whatever Miss Bartlett did. And we also know that whatever Miss Bartlett did is 47 minutes less than Mr. DuBois. One of the benefits to taking this approach for story problems is that students can reason about the answer before they do a calculation. When you lay the information out like this, and we see that 134 is more than what Miss Bartlett did, we can estimate our answer. We can know that our answer is going to be a little bit less than 100, maybe somewhere around 90. Now it's time to lay this out in number sentences. Since Mr. DuBois corrected for longer, that means Miss Bartlett corrected for less amount of time. So 134 minus the change will get us how long Miss Bartlett corrected for. Moving to the other comparison statement, we would know that something plus 47 more would equal the amount that Mr. DuBois corrected for. And once again, using fact family, we could know that 47 plus something would equal 134. This leads the student again to two possible strategies for solving. The last one we're going to take a look at is an example of a story problem that's a comparison, a more or less problem, with words that mean more or less. Once more, we're going to take the quantities out. Gage and Xavier are learning about supercars. The Boxster has a top speed of some miles per hour. This is an amount miles an hour slower than the Diablo. What is the top speed of the Diablo? When students read this story problem, they need to recognize that that word slower really means less than. Let's go ahead and make a comparison statement. We know that the Boxster's top speed is less than the Diablo's top speed, and therefore the Diablo's top speed is more than the Boxster's top speed. When we read through the problem again, we see that the information that's given is the top speed of the Boxster and the amount of change between that top speed and the Diablo's top speed. What we're missing is the top speed of the Diablo, and so we can go ahead and put a question mark above the Diablo. It's time to go ahead and uncover the quantities and put that information into the comparison statement. So, the Boxster has a top speed of 164 miles an hour. And that speed is 38 miles an hour slower than the Diablo. If we look at our comparison statements, this is how they read. 164 miles an hour is 38 miles an hour slower than some amount. Also, some amount is 38 miles an hour more than 164 miles an hour. At this point, students can reason about the top speed of the Diablo. We know that it's going to be more than 164 miles an hour, maybe somewhere around 200, looking at the numbers. It's now time to set up number sentences. We know that the Diablo goes the same 164 miles an hour as the Boxster, plus another 38 miles an hour faster. So we could add those two quantities to get the answer. Looking over at the other side, if we knew the top speed of the Diablo, we could take away the 38 miles an hour difference, and we would be left with the top speed of the Boxster. Although we were able to generate a subtraction number sentence, this really doesn't lend itself to solving the problem. Students will need to rely on what they know about fact families, and that is, if we have a larger number and take away some amount, we could add what we're left with and the amount we took away to arrive at the larger number. So, 164 plus 38 equals that top speed of the Diablo, the same number sentence we landed up with the other comparison statement. One last thing to note is that if you take a look up at the story problem, the operative word that we looked at the beginning was this word slower, and we had to know that it meant less than. As it turns out, this was an addition problem, and so this is one of those cases where the word less than actually needs students to add to solve. The answer is 202 miles per hour. I hope this tutorial has been helpful, and as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch.